Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Guman Singh. Topping our newscast, the Hemp Bill discussion at the Senate on Wednesday was lively, to say the least. Senator Terrence Nelson's hemp industry legislation went before the Senate Rules and Judiciary Committee. While many expressed support for the bill, at least one testifier was vehemently opposed, saying it could put local farmers in danger of being arrested. News 2's April Knight has that story.
Sparks flew at the Senate's Wednesday hearing on the hemp bill that quickly turned to marijuana. 11 testifiers spoke with varying degrees of support or opposition to Senator Terrence Nelson's Bill 31-0100. The bill would allow local farmers to apply for a license to grow hemp, according to Senator Nelson, a lucrative crop that remains untapped by the Virgin Islands. Senator Nelson's bill limits the amount of THC or tetrahydrocannabinol in the allowed strain of hemp. The bill would require criminal background checks on growers applying for a license for the first time. In spite of these regulations, Attorney General Claude Walker stated that the bill, as written, violates federal laws and would thus be rendered ineffective anyway.
This bill, as it did before, still today, would violate the Supremacy Clause, the Controlled Substances Act, and Section 7606 of the Agricultural Act of 2014. Nowhere is it stated that the commercial sale of hemp or its products is permissible.
He said it could also make VI farmers vulnerable to federal prosecution, regardless of what's already being done in other states, and the possibility of a federal waiver. The Attorney General also expressed concern that Senator Nelson's bill could be a disguised means of gaining a foothold into the full legalization of recreational marijuana in the territory. The bill sponsors condemned the AG's comment as unfair.
The Attorney General is speaking to the legalization of marijuana. This bill is clearly a bill to legalize industrial hemp. He's straying from the subject matter.
Can't have recreational use until we have a bill that creates recreational use of marijuana. So to make the inference that this is a pathway down recreational use, to me, was not fair in your testimony.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
That hearing lasted until late afternoon, and the hemp bill was ultimately tabled indefinitely by the Rules Committee. We will keep you updated on any development. Senator Terrence Nelson will hold a press conference tomorrow. 2 male minors, aged 15 and 17 years old, were arrested and charged with third-degree assault on Tuesday, February 16th at 11 a.m. The two were involved, police say, in an altercation where the 15-year-old was charged with third-degree assault after he was identified as the individual who drew a firearm at another minor, while the 17-year-old aided and abetted him in the assault. No bail was set by order of the court, and the pair was turned over to the Juvenile Services to be remanded to the Youth Rehabilitation Center on St. Croix. Stedroy Hurst, 29 years of age, an inmate of the Golden Grove Correctional Facility, was charged with first-degree arson. On Tuesday, February 16, 2016, Hurst set fire to the cell of another inmate within the same cluster. The blaze caused damage to bedding, photographs, and DVDs within the cell. No one was injured during the incident. Stedroy Hurst was arrested and charged with first-degree assault, first-degree arson by order of the court, with bail set at $75,000, and was placed into custody once again. A green taxi van was involved in an accident there, and emergency personnel were on the scene. Officials say no one suffered any major injuries, but there were several passengers who were wounded. One patient was fully mobilized to a spine board that rescue personnel had to package in the ambulance. The guys all worked in a well-trained, coordinated effort. Kudos goes out to them. All agencies worked extremely well with each other and provided excellent hospitality and customer service. St. Thomas Rescue assisted EMS in patient care, and they assisted EMS in the ambulatory transporting. St. Thomas Rescue, along with VI Fire Services, dealt with the stabilization of the damaged taxi van. In its February 9th meeting, WICO Board accepted a 3-year cruise operations strategic plan for the ports of Charlotte Amalie, including a single tariff cruise passenger fee. The $13.40 fee will go into effect on October 1st, 2016, and it is applicable to passengers arriving at the West Indian Company Limited Dock and the Austin Babe Monsanto Marine Terminal. The cruise operations strategic plan also includes preferred berthing agreements, improvements to berthing areas, discussions with European-based cruise lines, and development of a second berth in the Crown Bay area. The board's action to improve and enhance berthing options is designed to increase cruise ship capacity in the Virgin Islands. Senator Kurt Viele said he is disheartened to learn that the Mars Hill Head Start in Frederiksted has been shut down until Tuesday, February 16th, due to various issues, including leaks in classrooms, water seeping into light fixtures, air conditioning failures, and electrical problems. There were also problems, he said, with the phone service and some kitchen appliances. Viele is requesting that the building and all aspects of construction be thoroughly inspected and the necessary repairs be completed immediately at no additional cost to the government. Count on 2 to keep you updated. As part of an ongoing effort to reach out to the voting public as mandated by law, members of the St. Thomas St. John Board of Elections will conduct educational outreaches and registration drives. The St. Thomas St. John District will conduct a voter education and outreach program at the Montessori School on Wednesday, February 16th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. At CAHS on Tuesday, February 23rd from 9:15 a.m. to 10:15. Seventh-day Adventist School, Wednesday, February 24th, 8:30 to 9:30. Gift Hill School on St. John, Thursday, February 25th from 9 a.m. Meanwhile, the Joint Board Vice Chairman Adelbert Bryan has called for a meeting that's set for tomorrow, Thursday, February 18th, to be held via video conference in both elections district, and that's at 10 a.m. The agenda item will be political parties' failure to comply with the VI Code, Title 18, Section 232. Juan Luis Hospital staff were beaming with gratitude on Wednesday as the second installment of a $50,000 donation was handed over to the hospital. One generous community member said he wanted to give back to the only hospital on St. Croix, and he says others should do the same. NEWS2's April Knight has that story.
Juan Luis Hospital's labor and delivery unit shines a little brighter thanks to a hefty donation from a community member. David Johnson of Cane Bay Partners donated $50,000 to support the Women and Children's Division of the hospital that he said has always given him good service.
I feel like if I can make some sort of an impact, even a small one, on the next generation of Virgin Islanders and the children here in St. Croix, then that is an investment in the future.
Johnson gave the hospital the first $25,000 in December 2014, which was used mainly for renovating labor and delivery. The second installment was given on Wednesday.
We looked at the rooms and we said that we wanted to make the room look pretty, but we wanted the room to be functional and lasting.
According to acting Juan Luis CEO Ken Nicolo, donations like Johnson's had a little something to contribute to the recent verdict by CMS granting the hospital compliance status.
Part of what they saw when they came here was the active involvement of community members in the affairs of the hospital. We did share with them that we got donations from the community to help us spruce up that unit.
Now, Johnson has a message for the rest of the community.
I'm committing as one individual and as an owner of a company here at Cane Bay Partners that I will do my part and we will do our part. And I challenge the others that live here and utilize these services to do the same, because we all have a role to play here.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Great donation there. Now, according to one of Louis officials, not only did the donation beef up their infrastructure, it also lifted the spirits of one of Louis staff and generated ideas for other divisions at the hospital. Meanwhile, Juan Luis Hospital is no longer under the threat of decertification, but it still had some areas of deficiency to work on. That's according to the December survey done by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which also found that the hospital was CMS compliant. On Tuesday, CMS accepted and approved the hospital's plan of correction for those deficiencies, which included accountability issues, informed consent, medical records, therapeutic diets, infection control program, and life safety code issues. Turn our attention overseas with the South Carolina Republican primary just days away. The presidential candidates' attacks on each other are intensifying. They've called each other liars and questioned each other's accomplishments. A new poll shows Donald Trump with a healthy lead in South Carolina. Among Democrats, the same survey shows Hillary Clinton with a large lead over Bernie Sanders, 56-38, due in part to the strong support she's getting from women and black voters. So why does South Carolina, infamous for dirty politicking and mudslinging, matters so much to candidates in both parties? Jonathan Mann explains.
South Carolina hosts the first in the South primary, with Republicans voting February 20th, Democrats a week later. Known for its beaches and barbecue, the Palmetto State is a Republican stronghold. Almost three-quarters of voters describe themselves as somewhat or very conservative in the state's last GOP primary. Nearly as many, 65%, said they were born again or evangelical Christians, and about a quarter said they were active or former military. South Carolina is more diverse than Iowa and New Hampshire, with a sizable African-American community, the vast majority of them Democrats. You may recall South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, a rising star in the Republican Party, made headlines last summer when she ordered the removal of the Confederate flag from the State House in Columbia.
It's time to move the flag from the Capitol grounds.
South Carolina is also known for some political dirty tricks in its past primaries. In 2000, telephone pollsters implied Senator John McCain had fathered an illegitimate black child. In 2007, voters received a fake Christmas card purporting to be from Mitt Romney, suggesting the Mormon candidate favored polygamy. This year, a Charleston newspaper has an app asking its readers to report any questionable campaign activity.
Once we get to South Carolina, real Southern manners go out the window and everybody starts attacking everybody. It's a battle royale, what we're seeing right now.
But the state also has a history of picking a winner. In 5 of the last 6 elections, the winner of the South Carolina primary went on to win the GOP nomination. And the last 3 presidents, Obama, Bush, and Clinton, all lost in New Hampshire, but won in South Carolina the year they were first elected.
Interesting outlook there. Keeping an eye on the economy, let's take a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. Everything up. The Dow, Nasdaq, S&P, the Dow 256, Nasdaq 98, S&P 500 31. Coming up on News 2, time for our Black History quiz as we continue to recognize Black History Month. Who was the first African-American woman to become an airplane pilot and the first black licensed pilot in the world? It's one person we're talking about. We'll have the answer when we come back. Welcome back. Turning our attention to the courts. 22-year-old Ashemba Fred of Tortola, British Virgin Islands, made his initial appearance before the U.S. Magistrate Judge Ruth Miller after being charged in a complaint with encouraging and inducing aliens to illegally enter the United States. According to the complaint, on February 14th, the United States Coast Guard conducted a safety stop on a vessel in U.S. waters. The vessel was operated by Fred and an unidentified individual who jumped overboard prior to the vessel being stopped. A Haitian national and Dominican Republic national were on board. Neither of the two possessed documents to lawfully enter the U.S. Fred faces a maximum of 5 years in prison and $250,000 fine. The Coast Guard cutter Joseph Napier repatriated 26 Dominicans to Dominican Republic Sunday after a group of 36 migrants was interdicted in the monopassage traveling illegally to Puerto Rico on Friday. The remaining 10 migrants were brought into Puerto Rico for further processing and potential criminal indictment by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Puerto Rico on charges of attempted illegal entry and re-entry into the United States. The illegal migrant voyage consisted of a 30-foot wooden makeshift vessel that was detected by the crew of a U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Air and Marine Operations. There were 29 men and 7 women on board. Well, overseas, for the first time ever since the Caribbean Tourism Organization began keeping records, they say the Caribbean outperformed every major tourism region in the world in 2015. They say international tourist trips to the region grew by 7% to 28.7 million visits, much higher than the projected 4.4 to 5% growth. Visitors spent an estimated $30 billion a 4.2% rise. The announcement was made at a news conference streamed live to a global audience that spanned the Caribbean, the Americas, Europe, and as far as Asia. And they attributed the growth to a boost in consumer confidence, falling oil prices, rising seat capacity, and persistent marketing by the CTO member countries and their partners. The Department of Health has released some new information as we monitor the status of the Zika infection in the territory. According to the Health Department, there are 41 reported cases on St. Croix and 20 on St. Thomas. No cases have been reported on St. John. Only one case has been confirmed positive by lab results. 11 cases have been confirmed negative, while 39 lab results are still pending. A report case is any resident or visitor to the USVI diagnosed by a healthcare provider with suspected Zika, regardless of subsequent laboratory testing, according to the Health Department. For questions regarding Zika, you are urged to call 712-6205 or 718-1311. If you need to submit Zika report forms, you can fax them to 718-1508, and we will have more on this on a later newscast. On Saturday, February 13, Senator Jean Ford and approximately 100 senior citizens spent the afternoon at an event dubbed Bridging the Generations with Love. This event was organized by Ford's nonprofit organization, HOME, helping others meet excellence to bring seniors and youth together. The event began with a luncheon catered by the students of the University of the Virgin Islands Tourism and Hospitality Program, at which the seniors and the student musicians were served a gourmet meal while they enjoyed each other's company. After lunch, the crowd was treated to a concert performed by the talented musicians and singers of Adelita Cankrine's concert band, jazz band, steel band, and choir. While free flu vaccinations continue on St. Thomas on Friday, February 19th, you are reminded to bring your immunization card if you have one. Seniors, don't forget to bring your Medicare card. Immunization clinic is located on the Roy Lichtensteiner Hospital's second floor. It will be held again from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. this Friday. The Hebrew Congregation of St. Thomas will hold its 17th annual Antiques, Art, and Collectibles auction on Sunday, February 21st at the MCM Center at Antilles School. Doors open at 10 a.m. and everything wraps up by 3. It's a chance to mix and mingle, eat and drink, and snack some bargains. The auction is the historic congregation's only real fundraiser each year. Proceeds help to maintain the 183-year-old synagogue building, a National Historic Landmark. The St. Thomas Synagogue is the oldest in continuous use under the American flag. This year's live auction will have about 52 items: antique furniture, wine tastings, specialty dinners, original art, fabulous jewelry, and many, many packages. Well, time for the answer to our Black History quiz. Bessie Coleman was the first African-American woman to become an airplane pilot, the first African-American woman, American woman in general, to hold an international pilot's license, and the first black licensed pilot in the world. Born in Texas in 1892, Coleman worked as a manicurist at a barbershop in Chicago, where she heard tales from pilots around the world returning from World War I. This is when Coleman started to fantasize about becoming a pilot. Because she was black and a woman, Coleman could not gain admission to American flight schools. She took French lessons at a local language school and went to France to get her license. Bessie returned to the U.S. and performed successfully in air shows. Tragically, in 1926, at the age of 34, Coleman plummeted 1,500 feet and died during a test run with her plane. International Capital and Management Company is reminding you as they announce their highly anticipated music series event, the supersized version of Jazz in the Park. And that's scheduled to take place Saturday, February 20th from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Roosevelt Park on St. Thomas. Featuring 2014 Thelonious Monk International Jazz Trumpet Competition Award winner Marquise Hill Blacktet as the evening's headliner. He and his band bring their unique blend of urban jazz fusion to the stage. Louis Taylor and friends, who will once again bring together an impressive cadre of Virgin Islands jazz talent. There will be a health and wellness expo, kids zone, VI art walk, and many vendors, as well as the local Authors Village. Be sure to check that out. Stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.